hope you're all awesome. We're checking out the Klark Teknik, also known as Behringer, third dimension BBD-320. This is their unabashed Roland Dimension D clone. And if you're familiar with the Dimension D, you look at this thing and it's amazing that it doesn't say Roland on it, down to the colors and the font and the push buttons. We can talk about, the ethics of Behringer and cloning gear another time. I just want to pull some tasty chorus tones today. But if you're not familiar with the original Dimension D, it's kind of the opposite of what we think of a dense piece of rack gear with lots of sub-menus and advanced parameters and stuff that's hard to find. This just has buttons. You push a button, you get a chorus tone. So before we push any buttons, let's hear the bypass sound. And we're going to hear each of the 4 dimension modes right now, starting with number 1. Very interesting indeed. You can hear, it's essentially like having 4 different chorus presets. I think I like mode 3 and mode 4 the most. Mode 3, to my ears anyway, is the most subtle one. Mode 4 is the richest. What a lot of people kind of stumbled across with the original units was you could press multiple buttons at the same time and get different tones. So my favorite mode is the all buttons in mode. Let's hear that. That is not how you play either of those songs, but you get the idea from this chorus. It's just kind of rich and thick, and I really, really like it. What I'm going to do now is combine it with some micro pitch shifting and some of the vintage delays from the Eventide Eclipse. Let's check this out with just the chorus, then we'll kick the Eclipse in. That is LA late 80s session tone right there. So this is kind of cool. It's a little bit like the counterpoint to something like the tri-stereo chorus, where the tri-stereo chorus is really in your face and really wobbly. This is very subtle. It gives you this kind of almost in between chorus and pitch detune widening effect. So let's hear it on some other instruments before we hear it with a whole bunch of distorted guitar, because that's where the real fun is going to be at. We'll hear it on some vocals and some bass guitar, courtesy of Mr. Ryan Rafferty. Let's hear it.
I can't go on breaking bread around the table, drinking fire water till I can't see. So damn thirsty, another failed reanimation. I can't wait to talk it over. Another stitch in time. There's a new moon rising.
So the kind of pitch detune or, SPX90 symphonic thing is happening there. This is a very similar flavor to all of those kind of things. And, it does sound late 80s, early 90s in that context. Speaking of late 80s, early 90s, let's hear it with some distorted guitar. This is the dry sound. Then I'm going to kick in mode 3 and mode 4. They're the ones I really like on distorted guitar. So yeah, this is kind of a cool alternative, like I said, to the SPX90 symphonic or an eventide micro pitch or detune or something like that. It's got its own character, which is why we chase gear, why I chase gear anyway, and I know a lot of you do as well. You're looking for that one little thing. It's like, I want a chorus, but I kind of want it to just have its own voice rather than just be a generic thing. And this is scratching the itch so far. Let's add some micro pitch and some delay from the Eclipse on top of mode 3. I think mode 3 is probably my favorite single mode. And yeah, a lot of stanky looking faces with this kind of setup. So they're the sounds, kind of does the dimension thing, which for, like I said, 249 Australian dollars, 150 US dollars, I don't think I can really complain about. It's even cheaper than the Boss Dimension C Wazacraft pedal as well. My main complaints though, it's kind of a little bit cheap feeling with the buttons. Like you kind of press these and they feel plasticky. I haven't actually got hands-on experience with a real Dimension D, but I suspect maybe there's a similar thing happening there. The power switch feels pretty good though. There are XLR ins and outs. The little slider on the back is kind of a little bit, I don't know, it feels a bit flimsy, the one that lets you select between stereo and mono operation. But other than that, it's a Dimension D that is not going to break the bank. I think it sounds pretty useful for other instruments. Aside from guitar, the big one is, I get that it's 2 rack units because the original was 2 rack units and this is meant to be a clone. But just do it in a 1 rack unit thing, or a half rack unit or anything like that, because I think that's going to put a lot of people off. If you've got limited rack space, having a 2 rack unit that only does a couple of different chorus presets, really. You've got the 4 main buttons and a bunch of different combinations. So you could argue that, there's, how many chorus sounds do you need? Any more than 4? The reality is you're going to set this on 1 or 2 modes that are your favorite and use them for whatever kind of application you're using. So I imagine this could be crammed into a 1 unit thing. That big output level meter, just put it sideways and bring the LED down, and this can be done. This can be done. A 1 rack unit Dimension, I think at that price point would be pretty much untouchable. But what do you all think? Did you enjoy the sounds? Is the price point attractive? Or is the fact that it's still Behringer just enough for you to not want to touch it at all? I would love to hear from you all in the comment section below. And I didn't say this before, but I paid for this unit. I have nothing to do with Behringer, no vested interest in you buying this product or not. I just like it because it does the Dimension thing and it looks cool in my rack. Sure, it would be awesome if it was 1 rack unit, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers, can they? I really hope you all enjoyed the tones in this particular video. Stay safe, be excellent to one another. I'll see you all next time. Cheers.